Good morning, everyone. How are you? Happy Friday. Today we're going to talk about how emotional eating is unhealthy and how to balance your food, your mood, and your cravings. So I'm Kelsie Michaud, and I help people I help people to gain control of emotional eating so that they can feel healthy and confident as they make peace with food in their body. And today we're going to talk about the truth behind your cravings. So have you ever noticed how your mood actually affects the types of foods that you will go for? You know, sometimes when you feel a certain way, you reach for foods that you normally wouldn't go for. So if you're like feeling sad or you're just lonely, does that make you want to just pile drive into a sleeve of Oreo cookies? Or maybe a bag of chips, or even a tub of ice cream, especially after like a breakup or something like that, because you're feeding those emotions? Well, emotional eating is more common than you'd really care to believe, and sometimes we seem to be feeding our feelings instead of feeding our bodies. And a lot of times our behavior, it's so driven by our unconscious emotions. And then, the food we eat, it's an important example of all of this. So there's actually psychological and physiological factors that affect the way we choose and what we put into our bodies, and that can actually dictate the relationship that we have between food and our emotions. So we need to fuel in the form of food to survive, but there's absolutely, some foods that are only eaten and during very specific circumstances. Let's take coffee, for instance. Coffee, how many people feel like they can't even function without their cup of coffee first thing in the morning? And same thing like with something like alcohol. Do you need alcohol to like loosen up or relax or just to feel more confident? And while, this is not, all strictly foods that we're talking about here, I think you're getting the picture. So the link between food and mood has been already established or recognized by hundreds of actually scientific studies. So many are actually showing that anxiety or depression and things like feeling really exhausted or feeling irritable and these cravings can just, what they do is they come from this poor imbalanced diet. And coffee is a very common example of an emotional connection with food. And our relationship with food is complicated too, because the key to understanding both our emotions and our mental state can come from the food that we choose. So it's actually quite an eye-opener to observe your eating habits and your desires, or to become more mindful and then stop before you actually can eat something. And then you want to question yourself, why do I want this? What will it give me? What do I need for it to fulfill me? Hi, Jenny. How are you? Thanks for coming on. So one study actually showed the significant role of emotions with our food consumption, and the results showed that participants felt more contented after eating a high-fat, high-energy food, whereas a low-carb meal, they felt more unfulfilled. And scientific studies have actually demonstrated the link between the desire for a specific food and the need for certain micronutrients. And these micronutrients are used by the body to actually regulate our emotions and our mood and then our physical well-being. And one of the most popular foods that people craved was chocolate. And that's because chocolate contains a chemical in it, which is the same chemical that our brains actually will create when we're feeling an emotion of something that's kind of like on the romantic side of things. So what do your cravings actually mean? Well, we crave specific foods like that are full of amino acids. We crave specific amino acids, I should say. They either give you energy or they're going to soothe your brain chemicals. And if we take, for example, someone who is feeling really tired and fatigued or just completely burnt out, they may crave something that will give them more of a stimulating effect, like which would be like sharp cheese or red meat or sugar or chocolate, and that's going to help give an energy boost. Well, when people are feeling depressed or some sort of fear, or they're just feeling lonely, they may start craving the soothing foods, like fatty foods, or like ice cream, things like that. So different foods satisfy our different emotional needs. And that means that our cravings for food are a sign that our body and our emotions are looking for peace. And this can come from any emotional or physical imbalance, because your body is always looking to be in balance. So when it's not in balance, it's going to let you know. So intuitively, the body just knows that certain foods will alter your brain chemicals, or even your blood pressure, in order to try to regulate our energy or our mood. So our emotional issues, related to food cravings, they will fall into certain categories. And I actually have this really cool graphic. I have this awesome picture that I'm going to post in the comments for you. I tried to do it before this and it wouldn't let me. But when I'm done, I'm going to post this in the comments for you, because it's a really cool graphic that shows you exactly what part of your body is craving what and what it means. So, hi Melanie, thanks for coming on. So there's 4 emotions that form our core emotional overeating, and that's fear, anger, tension, and shame. And that is that makes up the acronym FATS. So F for fear, A, anger, and T, tension, and S, shame, makes it FATS. So fear is the root emotion in our feelings. Anger, tension, and shame are all extensions of the fear. So we feel angry because we may fear losing love or the form of something or someone close to us. We feel tension because we're afraid of trusting, and we feel shame because we fear we are not good enough. So if your emotional issues keep going unaddressed, then your food cravings are going to remain constant. And if your emotional issues change, so will your food cravings. So there can be a physical reason for food cravings. If you are missing out, especially on certain minerals or vitamins, or if you have an imbalance in your diet, you're going to crave certain foods because of that. And once you've fixed the physical aspects of your food cravings, what is left is your emotional issues. So if you don't face those emotions, your cravings are just going to remain constant. So let me know if you have any questions as I'm going along. And I feel like I talk really fast and I just try to get all the information out there. But feel free to stop me if you have any questions. Pop it in the comments. And so if your cravings are seeming more geared toward those, those high fat types of foods, you're most likely feeling some kind of like self-doubt or trying to fill that with the fat. But fat stays in your stomach long after other foods have been digested. So fat cravings, what will often happen in people is that, when you're feeling like you're lacking something, like something's lacking in meaning for you, or possibly could be like financially or emotional insecurity, something like that. So the most direct way to try to reduce those cravings is to heal the situation that's triggering them in the first place. So even taking just, small little baby steps toward your solution of your problem, it could be anything, that maybe you're having something going on at work. Maybe it's in your love life. Could be just in your own lifestyle that you need to reduce your food cravings. So while your mood can have an impact on your diet impacts your emotions and your state of mind. And ultimately, this can just turn into a vicious cycle. So I want to share something that I came across in my research that I found to be really cool, which I was talking about that graphic earlier. And in Eastern philosophies of health, the emotions are considered the major internal causes of disease. And they talk about these 5 organs, 5 of our organs, and we have, which are our kidney, our bladder, our liver and our gallbladder, and heart and small intestines, and our spleen and our stomach, and then there's our lungs and our large intestine. Well, every organ has this sensorial or emotional component, and traditional Chinese medicine says that the 5 yin organs of our human body produce 5 kinds of essential emotions, and that's joy, anger, grief, worry, and fear. And any of these, like all of these beliefs, they believe that these organs are actually related to our like emotional activities. So that could be things like you know how like our heart is related to like happiness or feelings of joy. The liver is related to anger, and they say that the spleen is related to pensiveness, and the lungs to anxiety, and the kidneys to fear. So this means we can directly relate our food cravings. For example, like the taste of salt will stimulate your kidney function, which is tied to our body's energy. And then the taste of the sweet things, like that's going to actually affect your stomach function. And then they say that that's usually a sign of your digestive system is totally like looking for some kind of love and care. Hi, Mike. How are you? Thanks for coming on. So it could also mean you need to nourish yourself better and then increase your self-care too. So like I said, I'm going to post that graphic for you in the comments so I can show you, because it's really cool. I couldn't do it ahead of time. I don't know why it wouldn't let me, but you'll see how the body organs are relating to your food cravings and exactly which one means which craving. Like for example, I have my graphic here. Let's see. Like the kidney is related to salty foods. So if you're craving like extra salt on meals or something salty and crunchy like chips or cheese, that's related to your kidney function. And it goes through all of the organs. So I'll post that for you. Okay, so let's talk more about how to actually stop those cravings. So food cravings are most often, it's an emotional hunger. Hi, Kim, how are you? And it's your body's way of communicating to you. It's a basic need that's not being met. So maybe it's a need for some sort of comfort, like maybe either like a touch or love or support or some kind of validation, just some kind of connection. And by listening to yourself and uncovering what you are needing and feeling those emotions yourself, or maybe reach out to a friend for support, or just start to nourish yourself emotionally, and you're soon going to find that those cravings will drop off. So by uncovering what you need and reaching out for support can really help to slow down on those cravings. And our body, it's actually naturally wired for optimal health and balance. The body always wants to be balanced. It's always looking for balance. And we become, like when we become thirsty or then we hydrate, right? Our bodies knows that, like we feel it, and that's out of balance when we're thirsty. So we know, our brain tells us, all right, you need to get something to hydrate yourself. And we shiver when we're cold. That's a sign. Okay, we're cold. Okay, our body's trying to tell us now you need to warm up. You need to do something about that. And we yawn when we're tired. These are all signals that our body gives us. It's okay, time to take a nap or time to go to sleep. You're tired. It's time to get back in balance. So our body knows what to do, and these are the body's messages for us to take action for our needs. And it's in the same way as, when we are losing our peace of mind, or our body directs us to another action to correct it. So it could be sending us a signal for a food craving for chocolate, which is really a way of saying that you need to correct your emotional state of mind, which is feeling either lonely or anxious or insecure. Hi, Maria. How are you? Thanks for coming on. So if we can learn the difference between emotional and physical hunger, then we can meet our emotional needs much more easily and then ward off those cravings. So some differences between these two types of hunger are emotional hunger. It's based in the mind, and it comes on suddenly, and it's very specific. It's specific to a particular food, while physical hunger actually comes from your stomach, and that comes on much slower, and it's more particular to just a variety of foods. I should say there's nothing really in particular. because ultimately we need to face our emotions instead of covering them up with food. So while this, I know, sounds scary and challenging for some, it is the road to increasing our health, as with our balance and happiness. And the feedback that you'll get when your body is just well nourished and feeling healthy is that your emotions become much calmer and much easier to deal with, and your mind will be much happier, and then your body is feeling more imbalanced. And I know, it's a journey, but it's a journey well worth taking. So let me know if you have any questions about the content I covered, and I hope this was helpful for you. And as a reminder, I am doing complimentary consultations. I got 2 spots left to end out my week, and if you would like to be one of those people who jumps into one so we can just dive really deep into your own health and weight goals, and I can show you how I can take you from where you are now to where you'd like to go. And if you'd like to look a little further into that and see what's going on, maybe you're feeling confused or frustrated and you want some answers. So let me know, and I hope everyone has a very beautiful Friday, has a great weekend, and I'll be talking to you guys soon. Bye, guys.